Top Esports in a lot of situations. So this time around, I think we're going to see Beishang playing very heavily down towards that bottom lane. Problem here, okay, could get the Lilia here, but I was going to say the problem that you're going to have is that you've got very fast clear in this volley bear. Graves won't really do the work, but we'll have to see what they do decide to go with.
I mean, this is sort of uncharacteristic because 369 does not play volley bear, and Cast has only played it 4 times. He's been a very predictable jungler where he's been the Lee Sin, the Trundle, and then he peters off a little bit to things like the volley bear, the Nidalee. So this is different. The takeaway is very real for Top Esports. And because WE don't care about that Lux, they do get the bottom lane package once again as the Lily Band flies through.
He's like, hang on a second, that exists, right? We have to get rid of this. But yeah, we're going to see the combo once again for the Caitlyn Lux. Volley Bear, although it isn't something we've seen a huge amount out of Karsa, every jungler's playing Volley Bear. Incredible clear speed, such strong ganks, great beefy frontliner as we get to those late game fights, and even the damage that he can churn out is fantastic. So the thing here, though, is again we're seeing WE going towards this very early Renekton pick. And it means that when we get to the second draft phase, or ban phase, they have to ban away champions that do well into it. Gangplank going to be taken off the board. Be curious to see if they want to go towards something like the Kennen, or we've even seen 369 going back towards some other champions that can do relatively well into it as well.
He's got such a wide champion pool. Yeah. You can't ban out 369, and he's like a mini The Shy, as Jace flies into my eyesight. He's played this a couple of times, and you know, we've seen the Shy do exactly this into the Renekton lane. So it wouldn't be completely surprised.
So you can play like full poke composition right now for Top Esports, where you got Caitlyn with a rapid fire, can do a decent amount of damage. You got real strong siege potential now with Jace added in. Like, this is actually pretty deadly composition from Top Esports from afar. And when you look at WE, especially when you've got the likes of this Renekton now locked in, you've got the Karma, the Ashe, a very similar composition to last game. They need to close that distance, and you need to get through Volley Bear, you need to get through all these light bindings, the Accelerated Shock Blast. Yeah. There's a lot you've got to deal with now on WE's side.
At least building up somewhat of a front line here. We've got the Olaf for Beishang. Teachima has been that Karma player. It is still open, but this time it could be going down to missing. So Orianna locked on in, and that means we will see missing on this Karma.
First time we're seeing Teacherman and Orianna as well. So again, a new champion added to his pool. We'll have to see how he fares with this one. The Sylas did come out to some good results to begin with, but not gonna, or well, we won't be seeing any Sylas anytime soon. And
oh, it's a ghost.
Is it the cat? Oh, it's Echo.
Okay.
Sugar plumps. That's going to be a difficult one
Echo,
for
brother.
WE.
Knight's Echo. We saw this versus Easter. It popped off. He is an OTP Echo. And you know what? I would have let that bomb drop, because Knight's Echo is the best in the world. Beishang, I feel like, is a close second/third. But compete, ladies and gentlemen of the chat, because I dare you to find someone that's better at this champion than Knight.
He's definitely going to be looking to take over this lane. It's not something that I've actually seen a huge amount of, because usually when we think of the Echo, it's into the Syndra, into that style of matchup, because you got a decent amount of ability to play around the orbs that come through from the Syndra. But against this Orianna, I feel like she will have a very strong lane phase against her, where you've got a lot of poke damage that can come through, a lot of zone potential that's able to come through thanks to the ball. The Clockwork Wind-Up is going to do a lot of damage to the Echo as well as he tries to farm. So nice, looking to just see if he can at least weather the storm in this laning phase and then get to the point where he can be a big man.
It does feel like it's a little bit more cut and dry. I mean, you see that WE with the pace this time around do have to get things rolling. When you look at Olaf, when you look at Renekton, of course there is always that safety with the Orianna, and you've got a Karma in your composition. But things like the Echo, Caitlyn Lux, if they get on top of you, chances are you might die. As we go into game number 2, Top Esports, 1 game away from locking in first in the regular season of summer. WE the only team who can deny it now as we run forward. The fans from home shouting their praises, sending in the refuels for these teams. And it does feel like Top Esports, with the momentum from game 1, look like the better team in this series, and are showing us why they're angling for the best team in the LPL. And, you know, someone on Twitter replied to me and said, best team in the world, more like it. Potentially. They have to make their way through playoffs. They have to get to enough points to hit Worlds. Currently sitting on 40 from Spring. And at this point, I do believe that top esports are guaranteed for regionals bare minimum.
And I think there's a lot of IG and JDG fans that would like to disagree with them, especially IG fans after Invictus Gaming kind of bodied them in the last series that we saw. So top esports have a lot of improvements to go forward with. But we'll have to see how they fare against WE. Is already WE looking to split the map, having Beishang invade with Missing and Jump.
Well, you've got an Olaf level 1. Top esports are going to respect that, and especially since Casa is starting towards the top side of the map. So, vertical jungling here. And Jackie and Yu Yanzhou will not have the same freedom that was allocated to them, at least in the later part of the laning phase.
This is a bit of a problem, though, for top esports. Because when we talked about, hey, look, Jackie and Yu Yanzhou, they want to be the one shoving. Well, they're not getting the opportunity to do that. Already a lot of damage coming through from Missing and Jump.
It's the Karma in this bottom lane. That actually went a bit too far wide from Missing. Exhaust comes out, forcing the heal. And Missing, if he landed that damage, I don't think we would have needed to burn a summoner.
Jomung and Missing, though, are going aggressive here because they've opted in towards the biscuits. You can see one, well, not probably sticking Jomung's inventory anymore, but it means in that poke battle, they've got more of the effective health, so can keep going for these trades. You can see, hey, look, at the end of the day, although the level 2 has helped in shoving that up a little bit in the health bar-wise, Jomung is actually going to be in pretty good shape to go for these aggressive trades against Jack.
We're going to track junglers, though, because we're talking about what happens now because of the vertical jungling. Actually going back towards his blue. Beishang is going to reset the map state a little bit while Casa is still in his top side, red side, excuse me. So interesting here to see how the momentum shifts as Beishang goes back to his own.
It means Karst is going to be in a lot of trouble. Usually when you see a split map like this, the enemy jungle will very quickly rotate over towards the enemy side to make sure that this doesn't happen, but WE got an early ward down on their own blue, spotted that Karsa had not gone across towards the enemy side, so now Beishang is free to go for this, and you've got nothing here as Karsa that you can take.
And Jackie and Yu Yanzhou are still like, well, we've got to be careful. Having said that, though, pile driving with Piltover Peacemaker. Jomung almost loses his life. Got to be careful again. Poke still flies through this bottom lane while junglers are now going to spot out each other. Undertow connects and Beishang has a level lead. But 369 will be into River first. Here comes the Parallel Convergence Knight, ready with a little phase dive, but the flash is burnt first of all. Turns onto Teachama here, but on the Karma tries to get the focus resolved and layers down, but Knight is low on mana. Undertow connects and Beishang is going to follow this up. Castle with a dissuade. Knight flashes over the wall, first blood. Goes over to WE, and 369 is now in such a pickle. Flashes himself, Teachama matches, and that's a kill over to the mid laner. WE once again get the early blood as Knight manages to eke out.
2 kills very quickly over to WE, and top esports, they thought they might have been able to make it work with 369 and Knight being able to rotate first, but they aren't quite able to get the kill, and then the separation, the divide and conquer from WE as they manage to get a kill apiece for Beishang and Teachama.
Damage goes down to Jackie Love. He manages to survive, but okay, never mind. Nothing else happens. Bot Jomung cancels his back as Jackie Love is still going to walk into lane with its low health bar. Big space bear on the way bottom lane. He's going to walk away after clearing out the ward.
And this is the thing though, Jomung still is holding on to that biscuit, so he's still in like pretty good shape here where he can heal up if he really wants to, but it looks like he knows that no more aggressive trading is going to be happening in this bottom side. He's just going to hold on and then have an extra little bit of health when he comes back in towards the later portion. So we're looking at the way that top esports want to play. This game is very much through this either through 369 or through the bottom side, but at least with Jomung and Missing being able to do a very good job of pushing these waves back, it's a little bit more difficult for top esports to set up Jackie Love and Yu Yanzhou for success as compared to the last game where Missing was on the thresh.
Very good point. You see with the pickaxe in that bottom lane, poke from 369 doesn't connect and the back is secured top side. I wanted to note that Beishang has double longsword after getting that first blood. As teleport was used, the hammer back is the interaction that we have to keep note of. I want to point out, we do not see Warriors Olaf when we do see Olaf, so I'd be curious if the confidence pushes him forward for this early game damage threat as Dagdig, who's coming mid? Teachama might be in trouble. Parallel Convergence layer down. They flash in, phase dive as well. It's double stun and a death for Teachama at the hands of Yu Yanzhou.
Double stun, double flash, and nothing burned from Teachama because he didn't have anything up and available. So Top Esports able to make a nice gank work for themselves and using the timing that window that they have in that bottom side where Yanja won't be needed because Jomung and Missing weren't pushing in aggressively in this bottom side. But now, Beishang trying to answer.
Here comes big Beishang. Knight is level 6 now though. Undertow connects once again into the parallel convergence. Knight gap closes a little bit and gets his movement speed, but this is an electrocute Echo who goes back in with the chrono break. Teachama does not have shockwave. And Knight gets on out. This wave would have given him 6, but unfortunately, they had to let the mid laner go.
And now Teachama has that shockwave. Unfortunate timing, but having control of that mid lane means that Beishang can now move over. He's going to start up this dragon, and again is trying to play through the strengths of, well, Teachama at least off that play in mid, Jomung and Missing being able to shove in this bottom side. And again, we're seeing this slow pace from top Esports, where yes, we're getting some plays from Karsa, but not a huge amount in these early stages. And even when we try to see top Esports make plays towards those top side Rift Scuttlers, it doesn't really work out.
We're attacking bot as Team WE. Will give the pressure to make Yanja and Jackie Love have to back away with turret plating going over. And that means this goal lead extends to about 1,500 in WE's favor. The invade also a part of it with Knight angling. But remember, Knight used the chrono break in the last little bit of fight through mid. So there's no way they can stop this. Teachama picking up the blue buff and walking back to lane.
This is actually pretty big. Teachama being able to steal away this blue buff means he now has push power over Knight. And although Knight does have the corrupting potions, which means he'll be able to sustain for a little bit of time, you would like, as Knight, to be able to shove in that wave and then go and roam and try and influence the map. But when you're missing that blue buff, it makes it a lot more difficult for you to have control over this mid lane wave.
Does feel like a bit of a CS discrepancy is building up through mid as well in the form of 10 right now. Knight with the double amplifying tome versus Lost Chapter. Of course, Teachama does have that advantage. Look up top side, the Renekton's actually caught up a little bit. So Morgan can be proud that he's built out from this 20 CS lead that started the game off. It's now only about 6.
The big one for me, though, is this bottom lane. Like, that you're seeing on your screen, Jomung and Missing are the ones taking the turret.
A lot of plating, yeah.
So when we look at the last game where Jackie Love and Yuanji got off to a flying start with the Rift Tower going in their favor, getting a bunch of plates by themselves, or at least one of those plates by themselves, they're not having that opportunity with Missing now posted up with the Karma. So this is now WE winning out through bottom side of the map, makes things a lot easier. I need to see them now rotate towards that Rift Tower though, and use that advantage that they've now gained for themselves to make these plays. You've got a much better back when you've got the 65 CS, and you've got the 2 turret plates, so use that to secure
how do you fight Beishang? He has warriors, and he got such a big lead in this jungle. He's a level up on Karsa. And again, this is what I was saying before, is that we always see Cinderhulk Olaf, even when they find themselves ahead. It's nice to see the confidence of warriors from what has been one of the best performing junglers in the regular season of summer in the LPL. People don't know about Beishang. He debuted in 2019, and when you're coming in over people like, oh, you know, we want to talk about these big WE junglers in the past, which I might have to pause about. He is quite intimidating. He's got the Rift Herald in his back pocket. The cats are going out.
I agree with you, though. Beishang has been very impressive. I know Lyric is kind of like, is he top in the league? I still have Kanavi as the best jungler in the league right now, but Beishang is a very close second. I think he's been very impactful, especially for WE. And the whole way that WE is set up is to play through Beishang and Jomung, but it's Beishang who's the primary carry when we look at the early to mid stages of this game. And going towards something like this Warrior Enchant, where you're going to have some shields from Teachama, you're going to have some of those speed ups from Teachama, can work well.
Janikal Sahara blocked by Karsa nicely, slowed down by Missing. Jackie Love walking into this choke in the try. Top Esports managed to get away with the 90 caliber net to help. But just quickly, well, before we get a chance, it's taken away. You know, I was mentioning Beishang, it's intimidating experience for him, as that slice of dice was on the spot from Morgan. Because he's coming after his predecessors, the people like Condi. We remember Spirit, who's now over in a Freak of Freaks, who used to be on WE back in 2015. Like, there's been some big names in the jungle that have come through here, and it's kind of fun to see that WE does make great junglers. Let's not forget, back when it was IPL 5 and all those great days, Clear Love was on this roster in 2012. So WE, one of the oldest organizations alongside Invictus Gaming, do breed great junglers. And Beishang is very much a testament to that. in our recent future.
Great AD carries as well. I mean, we've
Also
got
true.
Jomong, who's really performing. Mystic was the previous AD carry in this team, who's tearing up a storm over in the LCK as well. So this is a team that certainly knows how to do.
A FLICKR is like, you know, WE light. They got Spirit, Ben, and Mystic. So it's fun to kind of relive those glory days. As we pay attention to this game, and WE have been really snowballing this advantage. The Rift Herald placed on the bottom side, first turret blood, gives so much gold over to Jomong and Missing. We've now got a 3k gold lead and then some, and Beisheng wants some more as he's starting to angle bot as well.
Top Esports need to answer this though. They need to make a play through this top side. And already you can see 369 is shoved in that wave, but this is again what Top Esports failed to do in a lot of situations. You had Knight, who was already starting to roam towards the top side. You have Karsa, who's there as well. You can go for a 3-man dive onto Morgan, but instead they're answering with nothing for this play. And WE can even back up now and go towards the likes of this Dragon as well.
Kind of saw the arrow go a bit wide. Knight's going to be pushing mid, forcing out Teacher who has limited mana. Good momentum still here for WE as Carson wants to shift that top side against Morgan. Walks around with the alcove play set up. 369 backs him into the wall. Teleport being burned, and Knight wants the kill. He wants some stacks on the Darksteel. Phase rush. No, sorry, phase dive. Gives him the first kill of the game.
I'm surprised we're not seeing WE go towards this Dragon quicker though. I mean, I thought they were just going to go straight from that lane play of Rift Herald back in over towards the Dragon. We'll see it just a little bit delayed as Jomong is going to go towards that top side, collect the wave that 369's pushing in. So all said and done, 2,000 gold lead coming up to the 13-minute mark for WE. They want to start snowballing this and hitting this mid-game hard. You can even see that reflected in the build pass from Teacherma. He is going towards that GLP. A lot of talk about GLP and how it just spikes harder in this mid-game. But Beisheng needs to be careful.
Yeah, a bit of ace in the hole. Wants to steal away the blue buff, but Knight finally gets it. Second time around, and 12 minutes in, Beisheng has to back away. I'm curious now, we are heading towards that Black Cleaver, and there's still a 20 CS lead in the jungle itself. Let's not forget that Beisheng has been controlling this game, and coming into this series, we're talking heavily about jungle matchups. And even though we didn't really get it in game number 1, it does feel like this second game will be more dictating the pace as Karsa running into Missing. We'll get the stun down, he flashes away, here comes the final spark. Enchanted across the arrow, nails down onto Yuyanja. The unstoppable ulti from Karsa. They jump onto this Lux. Beisheng walks past, now interested in the bear, wants his skin to wear. A double kill goes over to Teacherma, his third of the game, and WE take even more.
And suddenly Teacherma's champion pool maybe isn't just about these global comps. Maybe we're seeing something more from that mid laner of WE, because they're netting some nice kills for him. We've now got massive advantages with 2 dragons, with those kills. They are also able to start cracking open this top lane structure as well, as you can see multiple members starting to congregate around that top side. And 369's forced to back away. They don't have control right now for Top Esports.
Well, Teacherma versus Knight was another matchup we're actually talking about as well, wasn't it? Yeah. But we said Teacherma has to break free. Apparently in this game, he's broken Knight a little bit. Or at least broken the rest of Top Esports around Knight. So 14 minutes in the game as turret plating drops on down here. Note that WE are 4,000 gold ahead. Our low convergence being used on Teacherma. Limited mana, but has the blue buff and will recover.
I do want to give credit to Knight though, because as we said, this isn't an easy matchup for the Echo. He's done a really good job of keeping that CS lead going, and although there's been a lot of action towards bot and towards top, but we haven't had a lot of time to reflect on mid lane, it is still a reasonably good spot for Knight to be in right now. He's 1-0-1, bunch of CS, already that Hextech protocol completed. He will be very strong in these side lanes, or if he gets on a flank.
369, bit of poke down Yuyanja there for support. The light binding almost connected. We also got to talk about, you know, the poke that we mentioned in Pickle Band. There is a lot from Top Esports. Hey, turret plating was taken, huh?
Yeah.
About 1,200. Jomong picked up almost 500 himself. And this turret going down is going to give him more gold in his pocket.
Yes, though they are very much accelerated when it comes to Jomong Missing through the turret plate. So even though you see the score of a 20 CS lead and just 2 assists, he's going to be quite strong. And as well, then we just said, hey, look, you know, Teacherma is pretty strong as well. And the ability for them to enable Beisheng and Morgan in these fights through both Teacherma and Missing means that a composition that could potentially try and play at range like Top Esports is going to struggle that little bit harder, but Jomong might be cost.
369's running in onto this Enchanted across the arrows available. He flashes away, re-engages! 369 flashed over the arrow and gets the solo kill. He's running into the turret. He wants to die at his own hands, control his fate. Beisheng on the chase, and 369's going to wait for the execute here, but blast code over the wall. It's a surprise Viking to equalize.
They were always surprise Vikings hysterics. That was the thing, and it's just living up to his namesake from Beishang. But here we go, Top Esports looking to see if they can at least bring a little bit back. So well played by 369 to secure that kill.
Who cares if you die and make it a 1-for-1 trade when you have the style points? And meanwhile, Knight's going to make it a very worthwhile trade, trying to get some gold back into Top Esports with this bottom side. But WE will not give up to this sanctioned play, as right into the mid lane turret themselves, they'll get this too.
And the thing here is that, okay, you're getting the mid lane structure down for WE. So now they can move in, get some vision control down. Look at this dragon that's about to spawn in a minute. I would have actually preferred to see some vision control going down as they moved out of there.
Yeah.
See, Missing has like the likes of the control ward available for himself. But either way, we're going to take a quick look at this top lane pay again. And 3-6, this was so well played. And
oh my god, that hitbox does not look real, but still cool. It does feel like he was part of the arrow for a good part of that. I don't know, but
look, to beat the arrow, you have to take part of the arrow into yourself. Yeah. But
you know, all of the arrow has to go through your body.
Look, either way, though, let's start looking at how we're going to start approaching this. Because we've got 20 seconds until Dragon. A Rift Turret in the hands of Jackie Love, which is what might be just showing on the replay here for ourselves. But yeah, Jackie Love actually did take that Rift Turret while that play was going on. So he's now able to place that down in mid lane. You can have Top Esports move in as a group, but I think at this stage, Top Esports have got to fight. You don't want to be giving over several Infernal Drakes and giving WE the sole point, but they might have different ideas.
Trying to zone off Morgan in the turret. Here comes the dive. Ownbreaker against the wall. Morgan is tanky enough, though, and Knight doesn't have the damage. Chanakras arrow was close. Knight survives still with the chrono break intact. They delay the minion wave and move back to the top side, but that was such a failed dive.
And they've given up Dragon, so they don't even get to answer for this play on the bottom side.
And even bot Shockwave is used onto 369. He comes back in. Sensei Ma for his number 4.
Styling on 369. Teacher Ma has certainly come into his own this split. Now being able to take this bot lane turret. He's got support here, though, for this teleport.
Bow to your sensei. Now has his gold to pick up his second item, which will be that Spellbinders. This is going to get even harder to deal with an Orianna this fed in the game. And for Top Esports running out of options, it's a 6k gold lead as we watch this solo kill again.
It's Superintendent Teacher Ma making 369 look like Principal Skinner. It was just so well played. Picks up the kill underneath the turret. Nearly gets the structure, but not quite able to. And then we have WE, who they're looking very strong this game.
Oh, steamed hams.
You've now got steamed hams. We've now got 3 dragons for the way of WE. We have a bunch of gold, a 5,000 gold lead in favor of WE. They have a composition that can still do pretty well when we get to the later portions of the game as well. We already said, look, although Beishang would usually start to fall off an Olaf, same with Morgan on this Renekton, the ability for Missing and Teacher Ma to enable them cannot be understated, and we may see that come to fruition right now.
Here comes the charge. Turret will not drop though. Engage from Morgan off on the side. 369 is frontlining this one as the Jace. Missing comes in with the lockdown, followed up with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and he's just dead. 5 vs 4 for the rest. Fighters Knight goes in into the backline. As the Chrono Break flashes on in, makes his escape, but now locked down himself. He'll die thanks to the shockwave from Teacher Ma. And although there's an assassination on Jolmong, numbers advantage still for WE.
And they can keep pushing here. They can start to move in. You've decent wave clear from Jackie Love and Yuanji though, but they need to try and approach this turret to make it work, and WE aren't going to let that happen.
Missing has Arden, so this is going to go down extra fast. And the turret drops. Gold lead back in favor of 6k for WE pre-20 minutes in this game. They are approaching an Infernal Soul. And for a team that wants the right side of the bracket, such an important series, such an important game to keep them going.
And Top Esports are still trying to get to a position where they're comfortable taking these fights. Yes, you've got Knight who can do a lot of work with the Hex that can go... Alright, sorry.
Hang on, Ragnarok used. It's Jungle 1v1. Ace in the hole, though. Not going to be favored. And 369 steals that one away.
Bit greedy, Beishang. But either way, when we look at this, Jackie Love, Infinity Edge on you completed. He still needs the likes of these Zeal items, or if he wants to go towards those BF items. You've got a completed Blade of the Rune King and a Ruinant, which is why this fight went so well. And we are saying, look, Morgan's enabled, Beishang's enabled, you've got speed ups, you've got long range engage. This is where WE can tried. Although Knight does a good job to get a return kill, Morgan's just sitting on the phone. He just knows exactly where he's going to go back to. The second he does, Ruthless Predator and WE take the kill.
Teachman gets number 5. 2 items here on the Orianna. Ash. We already know that Olaf has it, but now he has a stopwatch in his inventory. Excuse me, as Sara hits again. No! Let me see mid! Jackie Love is just going to die to the auto attacks as the rest of top esports flash on in on top of Jomon. He gets shielded up. He's kiting back. 369 eventually kills him with the low health bars as the hose flies through. It's a chilly morning with that double kill over to Teacher Mark.
And WE are looking to try and collapse onto the rest of top esports. They can turn towards this Baron between Morgan, Beishang, and Teacher Ma. They can take this purple worm down.
Okay, but Knight and Yuyanjia on the back end. Cast is not going to be up and available, you're right. Ward placed down there, spotted out.
No unsealed spellbook, no shenanigans. This has to be a straight up steal from one of these players. I don't know if they can manage it.
It's super. I mean, Beishang has Smite. This shouldn't go over. Range from Yuyanjia and Knight, they're just going to keep hovering around this. Going down to 2k. It's delayed long enough as pulling away. They're waiting for the Lux ulti. They're waiting for Knight to come in as well. Time Winder, Lux ulti into the pit. Phase dive, but it is secured by Beishang. Chrono Break out in the end as well. WE played that well. And now they have the worm in their pocket.
Baron buff up now for WE, and you've just got the resets coming through. Everyone on WE has this buff. And now they can start to play forward, try to crack open the base, and it all stems from this pick onto Jackie Love. And we said every single game, we get at least one of these moments from Jackie Love where he's too far forward. Either trying to farm or going very aggressive, but Jomon plays this so well. So many slows, so many opportunities to get the DPS out.
Oh, 369's actually caught on out the auto in the undertow. 5 versus 4, WE just might take us to a game 3. Here is Jackie Love, is against the wall, and the Sheriff is put in jail. 3 quick kills, and WE say, let's go to number 3.
Teacher Ma is 7-1-4 on this Orianna. WE are tearing through the base right now. There's 20-second death timers. As you said, Hysterics, they can look for the end.
Knight's trying to come on in, needs a great chrono break, or at least the phase dive with the parallel convergence. He knocks on in, takes out Missing, tries to delay, chrono break back, but Jomon is still alive. The shockwave doesn't work as the Omrek on his own turret not going to work either. And WE now have an exposed Nexus. Top esports need to rely on Knight, but this is going to game 3. This series that has just popped off.
The series that keeps on giving as WE, they get the early lead. This time around, they can control Jackie Love and Yuyanjia, and the late game fights work